Hi everyone, Max here from the Return of Reckoning team. We wanted to bring the community a development update to thank you all for your patience and understanding over the past few years whilst we have undertaken work on the new ability system, a rewrite that is now close to completion. This video will explain some of the projects we have been working on alongside the ability system and some of our future plans for Return of Reckoning. Kaylang has also told me to mention that although these projects will now be public, we're going to announce release dates for them closer to the time, and at the moment that schedule is dependent on the ability system release. So starting off, we wanted to discuss the ability system and where we are with the progress currently. And I'll be repeating some of the things said in the forum announcement in case anyone hasn't read it yet. So a few weeks ago we shared a post outlining the ongoing rebuilding of our ability system. This post highlighted the steps we've taken, the tools we've engineered, and the current stage of development. And we wanted to provide some additional context to this. So several months ago we conducted tests with our new ability system with Mythic's 1.4.8 ability data to benchmark the functionality of our new system. The ability data currently on Return of Reckoning has loads of problems and it was pretty much unusable in the new system. So we've had to re-implement Return of Reckoning's changes on top of the good 1.4.8 data, which has taken a couple of months. And it's important to highlight that the abilities tied to monsters, keep lords, fort lords, items, dungeons, and everything else saw minimal attention during this period. Now this has shifted, and our focus is now on addressing these components to ensure a release-ready system. Our current phase includes testing of the ability system as a whole. For our player abilities, we've asked our testers to partake in evaluating the system's performance on our test server, and that progress is going well. So it's important to acknowledge that this is a dynamic testing phase. The noted changes are by no means set in stone, they're already evolving with fixes actively being implemented, and we're going to be posting an update to the patch notes possibly this week. Our goal is to have a way to transition this rewrite to the live game server, wherein players can seamlessly log in, engage in RVR, participate in scenarios, run dungeons, and everything else. Presently we find ourselves working across two work streams, maintaining changes in both the old ability system and the new one, and things just take us twice as long to do. So it's important to note that while we've dedicated significant efforts into this project, comprehensive large-scale testing remains a vital step. This testing is pivotal, as it provides us with an assessment of each career. We will be able to see how they perform in the new ability system balance-wise. We can then use this information to inform us of any changes that need to be made and what direction to move with the career. Our goal here is to bring a more streamlined development process for our internal team, which should in turn result in faster changes, more bug fixes, more frequent balance changes, and more reliable abilities in the long term. So, in a recent update, we shared a glimpse of our automated ability test system. And now we're excited to present a video that demonstrates its capabilities in action. This video has proven to be a significant asset in our development journey. By watching this video, you can get a first-hand look on how it contributes to our mission of ensuring a bug-free experience when rolling out the new content. Not only does it facilitate smoother content releases, but will also allow us to confidently make substantial code changes in the future, knowing that our testing procedures will prevent regressions. We've been seeing a number of frequently asked questions on the forum surrounding the ability changes, so we pulled together a few to go through. So is anything changing about how defensive stats work? No. The initial ability system release won't include any direct changes to defensive stats. When will the rest of the balance changes occur? Our immediate focus post-release will be on addressing any unforeseen bugs that manage to bypass our internal testing. From there, we would like to jump into the implementation of the balance patches. Our goal is to have the first of several balance patches ready within approximately a month or two after the initial ability system release. What could we see for future balance changes? So these are some points that we brought up internally, and is no way an exhaustive list. So one focus is to ensure uniformity among tanks by introducing a single target punt ability to those careers without one. We feel that punts are a fundamental aspect of tank gameplay, and when doing this, we're also going to keep in mind the differences that keep each tank career unique. The curve of ability acquisition is also undergoing a transformation. We're streamlining the level at which abilities are attained, granting access to core mechanics earlier in your progression. We also plan on reworking single target buffs and debuffs. Our intention is to bolster their effectiveness in comparison to their AoE counterparts. We also recognise that some single target buffs currently lack utility beyond solo play, and we're looking into breathing some fresh air into these abilities. And there's so much more on the horizon that we're eager to share with you in the future. When will these changes be going live? The changes are planned to go live as soon as we've implemented the remaining features and finished the planned phases of testing. You will have a chance to experience everything before it goes live, and we're planning a public test server for these ability changes in the future. What is the reasoning behind the Engineer/Magus changes? The old turret buffs were not implemented using the ability system at all, and they were done using server-side hacks, so we got rid of that for the new system. It's important to note that certain mechanics tied to these turret buffs did not align with the framework of Mythic's original ability system. So looking ahead, our vision for these careers is enhanced mobility within various specializations. We aim to reduce dependency on to stand near stationary turrets, encouraging a more agile playstyle. What is the reasoning behind the white line changes? So for reference, some aspects are being reverted to their 1.4.8 state. Additionally, the Cleaver M2 ability has been removed. To provide context, the decision to drop the Cleaver M2 was influenced by several factors. Cleaver lacked distinct visual effects, a unique animation, and an exclusive icon. Addressing these shortcomings would have required considerable effort. Instead, we're considering enhancing the Flying Axe M2 ability to ensure its balance and effectiveness. What is the reasoning behind the Shadow Warrior changes? The Shadow Warrior changes contained an omission of certain vengeful modifiers that essentially mirrored an increased ability damage effect. The reason behind this omission is tied to the functionality of the vengeful ability, which already provides a damage boost. It's worth noting that none of these modifiers existed in Mythic's ability system, which serves as the foundation for our new ability system. What is the reasoning behind Archmage Energy of War and Shaman Fury of the Green changes? The adjustments stem from a core attribute of abilities known as Casting on the Move, which is essentially casting an ability while moving. This feature is designated as an ability flag. However, within the framework of Mythic's ability system, the basis for our new ability system, there is a problem, namely the absence of a component operation for altering ability flags within a buff. This technical constraint influences our approach to adjusting Energy of the Vor and the Fury of the Green abilities, prompting us to align with the parameters of the Mythic ability system. Now, we're looking at extending the functionality of the ability system beyond the limitations of Mythic's version, however, this extension hasn't been explored yet. What is the reasoning behind the Marauder changes? These changes are a decision to veer away from utilizing stat multiplier adjustments as a method of balance. This approach, while potentially effective, poses unintended consequences. Notably, it can lead to inaccuracies in tooltips, displaying values that don't accurately reflect the underlying mechanics. Additionally, it can inadvertently widen the gear gap among players. In light of these considerations, we've opted to explore alternate changes for the Marauder career. By bypassing the stat multiplier approach, we aim to maintain the accuracy of gameplay information and ensure that the balance adjustments align more naturally with the core mechanics of the game. So what is the reasoning behind the Squig Herder changes? This career, in particular, underwent extensive alterations in the old ability system on Return of Reckoning. Implementing all of them would have taken a large amount of work. Additionally, while some of these changes were promising, not all of them were satisfying. Right now, we've chosen a middle ground between the 1.4.8 version and the former Return of Reckoning version of the career. This will hopefully serve as a baseline that we can use in the next changes we have to the Squig Herder. Is anything changing about how defensive stats work? The biggest change is unifying all armor penetration buffs and tactics to work the same in an additive way. Previously, around half of them were multiplicative and half of them were additive, even if the tooltip read exactly the same, making it difficult for players to know how the tactics and abilities actually worked. In reality, it was a bit of a mess. Making them work in an additive way keeps the value of the weapon skill stat, so overall we think it's better for balance and easier for players to understand. Now I want to reiterate that this is the current state of balance changes on our internal test server. Some changes from Return of Reckoning have been left out either because of limitations within Mythic's framework, which we may find time to extend depending on the complexity. Others we feel that in the new ability system they will be balanced. We haven't done any balance benchmarks for the new ability system in 6v6 or warband settings. We expect the new ability system to change how things work on its own small ways, and we need to do some 6v6 or warband testing so everyone can get a feel of how well careers perform in the new system. Now that we've covered the ability system, we wanted to let you know about some additional projects the team has been working on and some plans we have for the future of Return of Reckoning. As mentioned previously, these are not yet in their final form and are subject to change. So, we are working on a complete rewrite of the scenario queue system. The current state of the scenario queue system has its problems, as I'm sure everyone is aware, like scenarios being created with weird archetype combinations and people being able to join games in unfair ways. The main problem that we have is testing the scenario queue system isn't really possible. Without going into too much technical detail, the small scenario system, which we had written years and years ago, has been continuously built upon and has become very complicated with many moving parts. One change could cause problems, but we wouldn't have a way of tracing them down without doing all the calculations in our head. The new system will allow us to apply fixes and changes without needing to restart the game server, meaning we can implement new features during the week with no game server downtime. The primary focus of this redesigned system will be on optimizing team formation. We want to ensure that teams aren't repeatedly matched against opponents that are repeatedly winning without them standing a chance. To achieve this, we've implemented a first set of metrics to prevent any attempts to exploit the system. We are also hoping to improve the scenario grouping if for any reason a premade is put against a pickup group, although we want to mainly not mix pugs and premates. Our approach is dynamic, with the match criteria adapting to the balanced games and expanding the player pool for those who have been in the queue for extended duration. We are also going to be talking about a new scenario that we're currently calling The Underway. This scenario is set within the tunnels that link the cities of Karaza Karak and Karake Peaks. The mechanics of this scenario are still under design, but it features a single hallway in which one realm must push the enemy realm to their respective spawn. We still have some finishing touches to do on the modelling of this map, but we have it in-game where we're able to plan the mechanics. And we're planning to release this along with a future live event, so keep your eyes open. We are also going to be changing how scenario spawns work. No longer will you be tied to a fixed radius around a spawn point. The spawn areas will be crafted for each scenario uniquely, so we can allow players to utilise things like multiple exits when the scenario starts. We have tried this with Battle for Prague and we've had good results. City sieges are undergoing a fundamental transformation. The goal here is to have a more immersive, strategic and fiercely competitive environment whilst not ruining the experience for players who may be more casual. No longer will the progression carry over between stages, each stage stands as a distinct encounter. That means that facing a formidable enemy group in one stage won't deter you from engaging and conquering the next. Our inspiration draws from the original rendition of City Sieges in Warhammer Online. The main feature will be the reshuffling process. After each stage, instances will be restructured to ensure dynamic matchups. Imagine, for instance, the top performing order team in the first stage facing against the leading destruction team in the subsequent round. This approach guarantees that each stage remains a challenging and unpredictable encounter, enhancing the overall excitement and balance for all players. With the release of the new scenario queue system, we will be adding the ability to backfill players into a city siege. This is so the rest of the team isn't impacted too hard if someone leaves or disconnects. In addition to the changes to city sieges, we do have some prospect plans for RVR. We don't want to get into this in too much detail here, as some of these are still in their infancy stage, but we have been hearing your requests for changes for RVR, so don't worry. With the newfound time across the development team after the release of the ability system, we have more capacity to work on interesting RVR changes. We have some smaller changes in the pipeline which you should hear about soon. We are looking at the longer term future to build a vision on how we would like RVR to evolve. So moving away from PvP, we now have exciting news about dungeons for the PvE folk. We're going to be rebalancing some dungeons, especially in light of the ability rework. As part of the rework, we have fixed a lot of mechanics which have broken over the years, as well as given a lot of monsters and bosses a range of new abilities. It really feels nice to see all the monsters using all these abilities on you. The primary motivation here is to deliver consistent experience across all career runs and mirrored dungeons, including city dungeons. The goal is to ensure that dungeon runs, regardless of career or realm, have a well-rounded sense of challenge and satisfaction. To achieve this, we're doing some data collection and analysis. The insights we gain will drive the subsequent changes. We plan for these changes to be implemented in the months following the ability system release. Furthermore, we're going to be using all these things we've created and the lessons we've learned to build out Lost Veil. And we're using that as an opportunity to create documentation for other developers to use to create dungeons in the future. Moving on, we have a few smaller points to talk about. And this is a quick note about cosmetic pets. They're coming back. Thanks to the new ability system, managing these pets will be convenient, as they will reappear when exiting encounters or leaving RVR. A noteworthy distinction from the live version lies in that these are purely cosmetic. They won't have any statistical advantages. This means that you can freely choose the pet you want without any obligation to select a specific one for a particular buff. And these may appear in some live events or quests in the future. So we've also been working on a new map editor. This will enable us to modify the in-game world through terrain sculpting and terrain painting. Here we have some footage of the map editor being used taken a few months ago, as well as some of the changes appearing in-game. This tool not only facilitates the creation of brand new maps, but also empowers us to tweak existing ones, including the RVR lakes. As the tool progresses through its initial proof of concept stage, we're actively incorporating feedback from our designers to integrate desired features so they can do cool things faster. And we're also working on an update to the Return of Reckoning launcher. It is a complete overhaul of the patching process. This update aims to make the patching process smoother and faster. You can expect quicker downloads, even during busy times, and the verification process will be faster as well. Additionally, the patch preparation and release on our side becomes much faster and more automated, saving us a lot of time. On a last note, we have also released a new bug tracker. The existing GitHub bug tracker, which was initially intended as a temporary solution, has lasted for over 9 years. A lot of players were reluctant to create GitHub accounts for bug reporting. This caused us a lot of problems where bugs were not being reported, or we would have to manage them in direct messages. We've migrated all the existing issues into the new system. It also features a convenient one-click login mechanism. It will help us more easily manage bugs and address them faster. We will also allow people to vote for bugs that players feel are most important so that we can easily prioritize issues. That covers all of the upcoming plans for Return of Reckoning in this developer vlog. We want to take some time just to thank each of you for your continued support, and we hope to bring you more updates moving forward. We are planning on doing more frequent updates similar to this in the future, and we'll see you all soon.